Hey guys, Zach Dewhurst here, Business Development Manager at DecoNetwork. And this week's webinar is with Jay Wilson from DTFXperts. And we're going to be talking about the impact of UV DTF transfers on the promotional products industry. How's it going, Jay?
It's going great, Zach. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself and DTFXperts and what you bring to the table.
We're a service provider. We've been in the DTF world since its inception here in the United States, somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5, 4 years, and we've watched it change over the years and get better. And now they're introducing new products like the UV printer.
And you installed a couple UV printers in a couple different shops this past week. Is that correct?
I did. We've been Louisiana and Miami this week. We installed a couple of them. Not Miami. I'm sorry, Tampa.
Tampa. Same thing. Same state. All right, Jay. Let's talk about UV transfers. You're too modest to talk about yourself. The UV DTF movement. So, UV DTF is obviously different than traditional DTF. And when I say traditional DTF, I mean heat transfers onto garments primarily. UV is essentially a three-dimensional sticker printed with UV ink that we can then apply onto a very wide range of hard goods. So your traditional transfer is applied with heat in a heat press, and obviously goes on to fabrics primarily, whereas UV is going on to the hard goods. But it's also a transfer, and it's DTF because it's being printed directly onto the film. Sound about right, Jay? Like I said, it's a permanent 3D sticker. It's a transfer. When it's printed with varnish. So Jay, can you tell us a little bit about what the varnish does to the print?
Adds a protective coating, gives it some depth, some shine. It's there to make it last, just like any other traditional UV.
But in addition to like the durability, you've always found that customers like the dimension that it does create as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's completely fair. It does add some depth to the actual sticker itself. It's not like a eco solvent or something you would cut out of vinyl. It has depth, and it's adds protection to it too. Also,
And again, I feel like that's something that gives it that extra, panache, whatever you call
of course.
it. It helps separate it from the two-dimensional sticker. So again, three-dimensional look and feel. It's dishwasher safe. One of the most popular products to print on when it comes to a hard good in our industry is drinkware. Drinkware is very popular when it comes to engraving, sublimation, direct UV printing, and the 3D UV sticker transfer allows it to be just as durable as those other processes. Jay, how many times have you washed some of the mugs and things you've put it on in your time?
Well, we've been testing them for about 5 or 6 months now. And when you say dishwasher safe, there's kind of the top of the dishwasher. Don't run it on the highest cycles. If you do, don't pick at it or touch it when it comes out. Let it cool, because the adhesive does get soft. So I don't know if I would say completely dishwasher safe, but I mean, we always recommend hand wash or on the top rack. How about that?
Okay, top rack's fair. I mean, again, Jay, you're being a little modest because I've taken transfers printed for me and I've washed them several times, and but I do agree. We try to always put our drinkware products on the top rack anyway, so it's not like it's typically being on the bottom.
Well, as soon as we tell the masses that it's dishwasher safe, they're going to be testing it, putting it in there, and just, I've seen customers get it right out of the dishwasher and just pick at it. Oh, it's coming right off. Don't touch it until it
Yeah.
cools off. You know.
Yep.
Now outside
Um,
is completely different. It really is. It works better. I think it works really great outside, but
outside on, like,
on
for example, like a mailbox,
cars,
cars.
a mailbox, glass on cars, yeah, that kind of stuff works really good because it doesn't get the abuse that the dishwasher is going to give it.
Oh, Mother Nature can
And
be
the
pretty
UV protection,
abusive.
well, the UV coating on it just the varnish actually protects it. So
How does that UV hold up from the sun? You know, if you put it on a car, is that ink going to fade, or does it last longer than like an eco solvent?
it lasts a really long time. I think it's going to outlast the eco solvent
Wow.
print because we do that. And if you don't laminate one, I mean, even laminated, they only last 3 to 5 years. So, and it depends on where you park it in the driveway and how much sun it gets. So it's just like
Yep.
any other product. It does have its
Life.
problems, but
Well, Jay, when we just talked about cars being washed, but it really any hard surface product can have a UV
not
transfer put on almost,
that.
right?
That's right. Not non-porous, non-porous.
Non-porous. So again, like you kind of see on the screen, I threw a sticker on a piece of wood, no problem. Um, can throw it on glass, plastic, aluminum, any metal. I mean, yeah, and then if it is porous, you often can do a DTF heat transfer. So what we do in our shop is poly bags. Sometimes we'll put a UV sticker on that, and then a cardboard box will actually heat press a traditional transfer DTF. So you know they're very complementary in what they can be applied onto. So plastic, metal, glass, all you got to be able to do is stick, rub, and peel. It's really not that difficult. Products decorated with UV DTF. So drinkware, again, very popular promotional product, very popular um, gift-oriented product. So when it comes to drinkware, it's one of those products where customers are used to being able to customize an order at a very low minimum volume. Because again, engraving doesn't really have minimums, sublimation doesn't really. But if you're doing bulk screen printing for drinkware, obviously there is typically a minimum. So drinkware falls into the one-off and kind of the bulk promotional product realm, but it's very practical. Drinkware is my favorite promotional product by a mile. Uh, Several reasons. One, it's going to be used, but two, every time the customer opens up their cupboard to get out, anything out of that cupboard, they're constantly looking at what's sitting in the cupboard, and right there could be a promotional product. And even if the customer's not grabbing it and using it every day, they're looking at it. It's just very impactful, especially when the customer's paying to market it. Like I keep saying, promotional products. So promotional products, I mean, really anything that we print on in the industry that's not apparel, even though apparel is technically a promotional product, that's not paper, like business cards, flyers, and then not signage. So again, banners, products like that. So promotional products, uh, there's tons of them. Um, you've got third-party dealers, ASI, Sage, PPAI. Then you have suppliers like Alpha Broder, who now has their own promotional product line of goods, Prime line, that you can buy directly from Alpha, print decorated or blank. And then customer supplied items. Jay, I think this is one of the big things that makes UV DTF special. When we talk about these other decoration processes that are traditionally used for drinkware or promotional products or customer items, you physically have to have the good in your hands and typically have it underneath whatever machinery is doing it. I can't engrave without having an engraving machine there. Because it's a transfer and because it's only applied using pressure, I mean, anybody can buy these transfers, go to any physical spot, at a job site, for example, and start be putting these UV transfers or letting the customer put them on their own products themselves. So not only are we selling the customer branded products, but we're giving them the opportunity to brand their own stuff that they never thought they could, which I think is really cool, Jay, because of that special uniqueness that you're allowing your customer to do the transferring themselves. Have you seen any of your customers, Jay, kind of specialize in that business model of supplying the selling just of the transfers to not only decorators but end customers to apply? May have lost you, Jay. I don't know if you're there or muted. I'm going to keep going. All right, steps to printing a UV DTF transfer. So it's a little bit different than your traditional DTF. Actually, it is a bit different. The only thing that's the same is that you have CMYK heads printing onto film. So it's direct to film. But what we have here is really a roll with two carriers. So there's kind of like a protective, and then there's the actual print surface, that part of the film, which is a little tacky. So when it's being printed, and Jay's going to demonstrate the act of printing here in just a little bit, white is printed first. It's not your DTF transfer where everything is printed mirror and in reverse. Jay, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
All right, Jay. Jay, explain to us a little bit about printing the transfer. And again, we'll have you demonstrate it here in just a little bit. But we start with printing the white.
We do. We take a PNG just like we would with our traditional DTF printer and drop it into the RIP software, and the RIP software knows what to do. So we print white first and CMYK on top of it, and then we finish it with a varnish. And as it's going through that process, the UV lights are actually curing it as it's put down.
And then it's laminated at the very
That
end.
is the last process. Yes, that's the last process.
Now,
it gets laminated.
what we were talking about yesterday is not only is it CMYK, so CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, you also have a light magenta and a light cyan, correct?
Yeah, we do, and that kind of increases the color gamut. So we get better colors. We really do, and it's not as hard to get those colors.
Yeah, because again, it's a 6-color process versus a 4-color.
Correct.
Okay, steps to applying a UV DTF transfer. So, 1, separate the film from the carrier. So I've got one here. Simply, now I'm terrible at this. I'm going to peel the carrier off. Now I have my clear transfer. I'm going to place it onto the product. So I'm going to take this little product. My daughter's going to
take a clean product to put it on.
Yeah, I had it just sitting in the shop, you know. We'll give it a nice little wipe. What's a good cleaning solution to be rubbing before?
Alcohol? I think 70 to 90% alcohol. Let it flash off and dry, and that'll get any oils off. That's one of the biggest problems we've seen, people not cleaning them properly, and the transfer will not stick.
And that's not going to help.
After some time.
Yeah, with durability, I'm sure.
Correct.
So I just placed it on there. Going to fold it over. Just rub it with a little bit of pressure, no heat, nothing special. Go to the next slide. So we rub it, and then we're going to peel it away that easily. Voila. Looks beautiful. Again, that 3-dimensional look and feel is one of my favorite things, Jay. Something else that's really cool is the fact that I can print so easily on a round product. I mean, that's not always the easiest thing to do. Now, what can be difficult, and this was always my nemesis when I printed sublimation, if you have a round logo, that oblong look just happens. I mean, it's just an optical illusion playing with you. But Jay, it's really cool. I mean, I could have a I mean, not even just a one flat surface or one round surface. I could have a jaggedy surface, and as long as I get consistent pressure in it, I'm good.
Yeah, we find cutting stress relief, little cuts in the laminate itself will help you bend and meet those
Ooh,
contours when you're installing it. So it's pretty neat.
okay, okay, I know what you mean. So cut, if you got it really long, give it little cuts so it can bend. Yeah.
Correct. Yep, that's right. Relief cuts, I guess, is what you'd call it.
So, decoration methods affected by UV. Sublimation. I mean, the big limitation with sublimation is that it's got to go on a white product. And not everybody wants a white mug or a white tumbler or a white water bottle. They want color. So sublimation is definitely going to be affected by UV DTF. It already has, because again, we can go onto a larger amount of products. The other thing about sublimation products, they're typically coated, which makes them more expensive. It's cheaper to buy a black mug than it is to buy a white sublimation coated mug. And most of your customers would rather have a black mug with their logo on it than a white mug.
But
Direct UV.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Zach.
No, you go, Jay.
I was going to say what makes it really nice too. Any customer, you can go into your cupboard and pull a coffee mug out, clean it, and decorate it. Or a squeeze bottle, or just anything. I mean, you have something in the house that you can decorate right now. So
Well, don't do what
it,
I did. And I brought him inside. I was just putting on some things, and my 3-year-old comes over and it's like, oh, I want to put a sticker on some things. So now we have the Creative Customizing brand, my company, on all of her toys. Um,
nice.
but yeah, dangerous habit and could have been worse. uh, All right, so your traditional UV printers, you're printing directly onto the surface. Um, it's not like direct UV is going to disappear because of UV DTF, but direct UV, I have to physically have the machine, I have to have the product on hand, and with the UV DTF transfer, I don't have to have either. I don't have to have in the machine. I could outsource the transfer to somebody like you, Jay, which that's how I get mine. And then secondly, if I didn't even want to apply it myself and I wanted to give it to my customer to then apply, it's that easy. I mean, and anybody who has ever applied a sticker, which is everybody on the planet, can apply one of these.
Yeah,
Um, it,
unlike traditional DTF, you don't have to have a heat press. You just have
no.
to have something to clean it with and something to stick it to, and you've branded that product.
Um, Engraving. So again, engraving, sublimation, direct UV, they're not going to go anywhere. It's just that a lot of the products that were decorated with these methods, now they have some competition with this new decoration method, which gives us more versatility. Again, products are still going to be decorated. The same products that are decorated with UV DTF will still be supplemented UV engraved.
Just another
Versatility.
tool for your toolbox.
Yeah, just every decoration process has a time and place. They're not all substitutes. They're complementary. Versatility of UV DTF. One, the application. It allows us to decorate on demand. Jay, that's huge. Um, when it comes, we're talking about how UV really impacts promotional product industry. Promotional products are purchased in bulk. And when I say bulk, you buy hundreds. You don't just buy a dozen typically, which makes it also very difficult to fulfill on demand. So maybe you launch an affiliate site and you're dropship fulfilling for a client and they want to offer more products than just apparel. Well, it's been pretty hard to be able to have to buy a bunch of promo products, have it lying in the shop. It takes up space. You're sitting on inventory, not good. With UV DTF transfers, we can buy blank promotional products and then have a wide range of DTF transfers already on hand of typically our clients' logos. So we have 50 affiliate sites, and we have traditional DTF transfers in our dark room that we pull off the shelf and we apply to a shirt whenever necessary. And then the same thing with the UV DTF. I've got blank promotional products, and then I have printed UV DTF transfers, and it's very easy for me to just rub them onto a product as I need it. I'm not sitting on printed inventory. game changer, Jay. You know, again, we'll say engraving can be on demand, sublimation is on demand, direct UV is on demand, but you actually have to be using that piece of equipment at the time that you're decorating, not with this.
Right. Right. We like to when we print something with traditional DTF, we like to shrink it down if it's a logo or something, and throw in a water bottle or something with their logo on it, and then add some extra transfers so they can play around with it. It's great marketing.
Yeah, you
And
can't.
it gives them another stream of revenue that they didn't know they had an opportunity to have.
Well, and most of our customers, they don't realize that they, yeah, when you ship that order, just shipping them that three-dimensional sticker, you'd be shocked of what they'll come back to you with. You know, they're going to
Oh,
want things
it,
other than just their logo decorated.
oh, exactly. They're going to start marketing it to their customers, and it's just a domino effect. So
One thing I really like too about it, Jay, I could put it wherever I want on the item. I mean, if I'm going to sublimate something, I've got to be able to get the heat exactly where I'm going to be putting it on there. So it can be
it's
a lot
true.
more difficult if it's direct UV. I could be inside of a crevice. When it's engraving, same thing. But when I'm applying a sticker, it's very easy to get it wherever I want. I mean, I put this on the middle of this wine label opener. Um, Now, again, it's not ready to be dishwashed, but it's going to do everything I needed to. But I was able to put it exactly where I wanted it. Um, Very difficult to do with most of these other decoration processes for promotional and other
Yeah.
products.
I took your logo at the last show and put it on a pair of scissors. People were amazed by it. It's pretty cool.
You go on any color product, Jay. Um, it sounds like, ooh, you go in any color. Sublimation can't.
Yeah.
Engraving is limited to just one color. Different situation, but the fact that I can go on any color, again, that sublimation, great process, dyes the product. There's no hand. You'll never have a durability issue, but you're limited to just white, and customers don't traditionally like just white. Um, no minimums. So there's no minimum when you're buying a transfer or outsourcing it to another shop like Jay's. But there's also no minimum if you want when you offer it to a customer. You can buy a sheet of transfers, cut them up. They're not going to go bad overnight. As long as you're storing them in a low humidity environment, they're going to last. So it's no minimum decoration on demand. Again, like I said, they're easy to store and got a nice long shelf life. Just don't let humidity get to them. Benefits of using UV DTF transfers, Jay. Vibrant colors, 3D look and feel. Again, they're easy to store. There's no learning
The,
curve. I mean,
the versatility, it can go on anything just about that's hard.
yeah, I mean, it's, again, there's no investment. There's no learning curve. We all thought, it's funny how we all instantaneously fell in love with uh, DTF heat transfers um, because of how easy they are to print. I mean, no screen printer wants to set up a 6-color job for 20 pieces, especially when you compare what a DTF machine could do, and then how much easier it is to learn how to heat press and apply it. So when you compare to like screen printing that 6-color job manually or on an auto compared to a DTF is significantly quicker. Um, but when you think about this transfer and the fact that I don't even have to have a piece of equipment, it's just that much more versatile. Um,
That's
Truly
right.
incredible. I mean, again, while I'm talking, I can be printing. I can't do that with any other method. Uh, okay, equipment differences, Jay, and we're about to play with yours. There's no dryer shaker. We're not really throwing heat. I mean, UV is ultraviolet. How is ultraviolet cured, Jay?
With it cures with the light. The actual lights cure the inks.
And
So what's
typically,
pretty. Go ahead.
typically that light is purple, right?
Um, yeah, I think it's a bluish color, maybe a purple.
Don't
Um,
look at
yeah, don't look at it. I look at it all the time. I shouldn't. Maybe I just can't tell what color it is anymore. Um, I think one of the big benefits is versus the water-based DTF is these machines can sit for weeks at a time, and the inks aren't going to dry because they're not getting that light. Keep them closed, keep the box closed up, keep it in a inside building, and with no light, and you're not going to have any problems with the inks. It's
You,
it's amazing.
well, so when we were talking about heat transfer DTF, we were talking about that water-based ink not wanting, it wants to be 50 to 60% humidity. What humidity do we optimally need to be doing a UV DTF print?
So with this unit that I have behind me, we this was actually a test unit that we brought in 6 7 months ago, and we're in my garage at my house, and we've had this here in Augusta, Georgia, and it gets hot here. Humidity's high, temperatures are high. This thing has been through 101-degree weather with 100% humidity all the way down to the last couple nights. It's got down to 45 and no humidity, and it just wants to keep on going. It's I think it's a testament to the quality of ink and the testing that they did with this machine to begin with. You know, it's not regular UV ink. They've made some changes to it.
Okay.
So we just can't put any kind of UV ink in it and expect the same results. As far as a traditional UV machine, I've never owned one, so I don't know what the pros and cons are about, it sitting in humidity. But I know this one, it doesn't care. It really doesn't.
Jay, I can remember seeing videos on YouTube out of China showing UV DTF like 4 years ago. So
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's just like heat transfer DTF. It's not like it just came out. They've been playing with it over there in Europe and Asia. It's now just getting to us. But it's like wildfire. I mean, I said it in one of our previous webinars. At the beginning of the year, I didn't see one UV DTF machine. I don't think I saw one at the Long Beach show. By the end of the year, I saw more UV DTF machines at a show than I did DTG machines. Um, so it's
yeah,
definitely catching on. Um, the setup, I mean, it's not a cheap unit though, Jay. I mean, it's around the same price as a 24-inch heat transfer DTF machine. Is that about right?
well, the one we're demoing here is a American Print and Supply Pegasus, so it's a A2 printer, and the price point is right around $17,000. But it's a complete unit, a complete solution. How about that? I mean, everything is there. You don't. It takes the footprint is very small, and yeah, I had a customer that told me last week that they're selling this stuff for $10 $15 a square foot, and that's a really good price point.
Hey, that's what Ninja's around. Um, That is great money. I mean, so Jay, give us an idea. What might be the actual cost per square foot, roughly? Just give me a ballpark.
If I had to guess, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,
It's around $2 that square foot, and they're selling
80 a square foot. Yeah,
10-15. Wow. Which that makes about that makes a lot of sense because we talked about traditional heat transfer DTF between the ink, film, and powder being between 80 cents to a dollar, and most shops are selling it for around $3.50, $4 a square foot. So having twice as much and selling it for twice as much, yeah, makes sense.
right. And
Um,
the footprint, like I said, the footprint is just so much different. It takes you can put three of these little A2s in the place of one traditional DTF printer. So
well, and they do print slower though
they
because
do, they
They're
do.
but they're printing such a smaller print. I mean, the average UV DTF transfer is around 3 by 3 maybe, versus the average DTF heat transfer is probably what 8 by 8 when you average 4 by 4 left chest and 10 by 10 full chest. So
That's right. Uh,
it just
Another thing you can average into that, Zach, is you don't have to babysit this thing.
yep.
Um, you set it and forget it. You can put in 10 different files and just let it run all day long if you want to, and go do your other things that you need to do. So it's been a game changer for us. We love it.
Jay, you have a baby, and you said that you went and took a nap with him by accident and left the printer going. No
I
problem.
did. No problem. So how about this? Here's something else too. Brittany, I get back from my trip, and Brittany has a bunch of UV laying around, and she had a problem with some margins and some other stuff. And I'm looking at it. She said, it just doesn't look right to me. So I'm feeling, and it's really flat. I go to the ink tanks, and she ran it completely out of white and completely out of varnish. Now I'm sure this is an isolated thing, but all I did was put ink in it and do a couple ink loads, and we were printing again. So it just goes back to the inks won't dry, they're in the head. So
you would have destroyed the heat transfer, getting new I-3200s, $1,000 each.
yeah, exactly. The time that you have to put in, the money that you lost, all I did was put ink in it. So, but yes, I fell asleep, and this thing just printed, and when it was finished, it stopped, and I realized I did what I did, and everything was great.
And Jay, print heads a lot cheaper with this thing, aren't they, than a typical heat transfer DTF?
So there is a few different ways you can go. Obviously, this was one of the first units that we brought over. It has a TX800 head in it, which is a very small head, very inexpensive head. Typically, these heads run anywhere from $250 to $300. They just offered us a new I1600 head, and then we have the I3200 heads. But the heads are different, when we talk about I3200s. These are made for UV, so they have solvent seals in it, and they're just made for it. They're not the same. So we couldn't take the regular $1,000 head and put it in here because it would never last. So there's three different options. And I think speed is one of the biggest things, but one of the ones we set up in Miami had the I3200s in it, and it was only printing about 1.5 meters faster than my little one right here with the TX800. So I think for the value and return on investment, buying one of these little machines, if you market it right, it'll pay for itself in less than 3 months, and and the maintenance isn't nowhere near and the cost of a regular DTF printer.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, the thing about your traditional heat transfer DTF is that market for selling transfers is extremely saturated. We kind of knew it would be overnight.
It
Everybody
is.
bought a DTF transfer has done it. These UV are a lot less common. There's a lot less suppliers of the transfer. So it is a market that's less of a Wild West compared to your traditional heat transfer.
Right. We talked about the Chinese, having this technology and not releasing it or giving it to us. One of the manufacturers that we use has a print farm. I mean, they have 30 or 40 of these things, and they're just selling it everywhere, all over the world. So, and this is one of the ways they test the machine. So I didn't realize that they had these print farms until a couple weeks ago. But it just amazes me. They're just running and running all day long. And they're shipping this stuff all over the world. So I guess they figured it was time they let us have it, huh?
Jay, um, my DTF heat transfer setup, mainly the conveyor dryer, I had to have 220 power. I have a 50, 60 amps breaker. We're talking about 110 20 amp outlet to run this whole setup, right?
So yes, the A2 will run off of 110, 120, 20 amp. Um, I would say if it wasn't for the smell, Zach, you could put this in any room of your house and run it. I wouldn't recommend it. I've got it in the garage, and the only time I really smell it is when it's printing and when we have to change the ink, open up the tanks. But it does have a slight smell to it. I think I've kind of gotten used to it, but I'd recommend it not going inside the house. I just was saying that it'll plug into any outlet in your house. One plug, um, you run a strip and plug your take-up reels on it, and it's a self-contained unit.
Wow.
I mean, you seen the unit at the show. I
Yep.
unplugged it, rolled rolled it into my enclosed trailer, strapped it down, drove it to Atlanta, rolled it off, started printing. It was pretty neat. It's a very, you can make money with this thing. You really can.
I can see people wanting to make it a mobile, printed events with
I
UV
thought about it. I
transfers.
thought about it. You can. Yeah, you can. We see people with heat presses and boxes of shirts and transfers, doing that. So this would
Hey,
be something that you could actually take anywhere.
I know people who travel with embroidery machines, and if you can,
Wow.
yeah, I mean that thing's loud. How you
That's
do that in
sensitive
a day?
too.
Yeah,
The
compared to
embroidery machines are sensitive. I mean, you can knock them out of alignment or tension or whatever with the threads really quick.
All right, Jay. Well, thank you so much. I think this was very helpful. Again, check out DTF Experts. Jay Wilson will take care of you. Um, and again, all this great equipment's coming from American Print and Supply. We did a pretty cool video on cut and sew and all over sublimation with the owner, Rob Super. And we'll be doing some stuff with them here in a couple of months on another webinar. Thank you, Jay, so much for your time. Again, have a good Thanksgiving break, and hope to have you again sometime in the near future, Jay.
You too, Zach. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks,
Bye bye.
everyone. Have a good one.